Yeah, yeah.
And I was going to suggest that sometimes the postings are general and they're big, and maybe those go up with a ladder one time and they're up there for a while, like the ones about pests, and, or.
But I would say too, even out here, the board that we have for meetings is what I would consider a normal height. But if I'm standing there and there is something posted at the very top level, I can't read it. So if it's posted or not, it doesn't mean anything because you can't read it. And this would be way higher. So
If something's on the screen, on the town screen, is that counted as a posting?
Inside the building, you're saying?
Yeah.
So Kevin Unrath from the library had an opinion that they have a small box with all of our postings in it.
Uh-huh.
It's like the recreation brochure thing. You can open it up and pull out, so you don't have to have your all displayed individually. It could be in a box like that. I don't know how accessible that is, but that's acceptable by the Secretary of
how
State's
much
office.
people dig through to actually look through a pile of papers to see what's coming up and things like that. I certainly agree, like if we have a electronic thing in the lobby and things are flowing by, that is a posting.
So-
But
And that's
I think we
part
do
of the plan.
have
That's what we have to
some,
cover.
I think we do have some responsibility to the public to be really posting what we should in a way that they can.
Whose job will
See
it
it,
be to
read it,
update that?
But even community events, if you have
It's a simple
community
matter.
events posted on these boards over there, and the unlucky one that gets up at the top, I don't think people will necessarily be able to read them.
Okay. Well, if you could actually take a look at that, then among those who will be dealing with that, that'll be fine. Anything else on the town offices? What about the rec buildings? Have you settled in, Terry?
That takes a year, generally, you know. So we're excited to say that we finished 3 weeks ahead of our original schedule, which, you know, had us wrapping up, I think, next week. So that's exciting. We, just this week, yeah, the seniors were in for a lunch, and they were very appreciative, very excited to see the new bright light field, even though it was an icy, dark day. They had a record turnout, I believe, right? And had the table set up in the entirety of the multipurpose space. I gave a brief-ish presentation, about the history of the project and so on, and it was great, really nice. As John had mentioned, we had the air tightness tested on the building. It achieved a 0.10, which a very tight building is 0.15, which was our target. And we achieved the tightest building actually that we've ever built to date. So we're really excited about that. And we are certainly still in the process of, shaking out the electrical or the mechanical systems. We'll have training coming up in the coming weeks for Terry and Dustin and anyone else who wants to participate. We've already turned over the O&M, the operation and maintenance manuals, to Kathleen and Chris, along with the as-built drawings. We have a couple of temporary doors that will be changed out hopefully next week. Items like security and site lighting are still pending completion. And then if we go, Kathleen, to the budget, is this the rec? Oh. So we've identified the same highlighted elements that are yet to be completed, telephone, data, and those things are ongoing currently. AV equipment, moving and miscellaneous expenses. The moving's obviously already occurred, and I believe went, very smoothly, right? One day for your stuff, and 1 day for 1 or 2 days for the new furniture to be installed, unpacked, and set up.
2 total moving days.
Great.
That's all it was.
Bleachers are in and installed, and the one scoreboard is installed and running. Looks great. Looks really just very sharp. And the second one, Terry's coming in the coming weeks. We have a remaining contingency of 60,000. That's the one that's translated that we already talked about. And that, you know, that obviously covers both projects. It's just the way that things, you know, worked out. The lobby signage, we have a separate diagram that we just pulled together like yesterday that we'll look at in a moment. And then the other one is the Efficiency Vermont rebate, and that's just an estimate. We really don't know how that's going to play out. It might be a little less, might be a little more. If you notice, we don't have one carried on the town office because the agreement with the college was that they would assume that rebate. Okay. Just to remind everyone.
The audiovisual equipment, can you just tell me what that is?
It's a placeholder. It's $1. Just like most of the others, we don't have, you know, should you purchase a monitor, that's where this would be, that's where that would come from, the funding would come from.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's why it's in yellow, is that it's, you know, it's not yet finalized. And there may have been some expenses incurred on the moving and miscellaneous, but we're just, you know, just holding that for the time being. Does that make sense, everyone? We've finished this project, turned it over. We do have some spring work, probably be reseeding. You know, we did have some areas where a few people felt like it was okay to drive on the on the grassy areas and like buried their cars 6 inches and then backed out, and you know, so we have to clean up some of that stuff. So we finished this project under budget in terms of the construction contingency. We have approximately 46,000 remaining, which is not, you know, included in the 59,000. But if you total those two, you know, we're up around $105,000 between those two contingencies. We will very likely use up all of the contingency, the construction contingency on the town office project. Okay, just as a note.
The 59.
No.
46.
The 59 is the owner's contingency, okay? And that is for use of whatever you want to use it on, okay? It's the, you know, the $75,000 that's been in that upper portion of the construction figures.
The construction contingency.
Correct, right.
So
So,
that
as
gets
I
rolled
say,
into the
Sorry.
so the what is left over in the construction contingency fund
Gets-
for the rec center
gets rolled
is rolled into the town
into,
offices.
correct, and which
Got it.
totals approximately 105,000
Mhm.
remaining between the two, okay? So, perhaps Kathleen, the image of the lobby. Terry, we took the 6x6 logo and the notion of putting some images across the glass. We tried putting the lettering on the glass and it didn't fit very well. So we put some of the figures, as you can see there, on the, that's on the lighter colored wall is the multi-purpose room wall, the glass area with the door in it, and the three figures across the glass is looking into the multi-purpose room with the concession area just to the left. And so the large, you know, logo, the 6x6 logo is seen there in the center, if you will, with some of these kind of gray toned silhouettes. They can be, you know, reduced in quantity, shifted around, changed, whatever. This is just a placeholder. And you can see, Terry, the move, grow, connect up above the
Right,
storefront there.
right.
I like it.
And this helps,
Very
as Terry might point out, having the silhouettes on the glass might help people in not, you know,
Walking into it,
walking into the glass.
as I did. I understand.
And on the opposite wall, what we're showing there in those banners, there's a picture rail that can be installed at any kind of height or length, if you will, and you can hang artwork or banners or whatever, you know, thinking that it wants to be very flexible in nature. There's a strip of track accent lighting that's hitting that area for this very purpose.
Now, that's the wall of the gym.
That's the gym wall, and that's why you see the block
Outside,
texture,
Yep.
pattern.
from the lobby.
Right. And those, so the picture rail is not included currently in any, any budget. We haven't priced that or anything. This is just an initial thought to get your feedback. And the lower, the logo with the figures, we have a placeholder of $1,400 that's in the budget. And you got another quote yesterday for the quantity of figures that you see there for $2,400. Because there are more, each figure is like $130 or something like that. So you could reduce the number, or you could shift it around, just to give you an idea.
So it's not 1450 plus 24, it would be 2450 total.
Correct,
Okay.
right. For exactly what you see there.
Using
You
the
have 14.
person that,
No, I know, right. Yes.
using the person that submitted the bid.
We just yesterday got a different quote, just to test and see what, so we have two different quotes.
And one is 1450 and one is 2450.
Correct. And the 1450 is for 6 figures versus, I think we have 10? 4, 5, 6, 8. Yeah. So it's just, to get the discussion going. And
Right. Dustin and I were thinking that, it doesn't really matter, but there's some things that don't take place, like
football,
football, soccer.
sure.
So we're trying to keep to
Yep.
things that happen in that building,
Right.
if that makes sense to everybody, rather than but it doesn't doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's just that it's a dance studio and a multi-purpose room, so wrestling or whatever that is in the middle.
That's
under
volleyball.
the volleyball.
Right.
Yeah, that
Going
happens.
for a dig.
Yeah, on the floor. It's kind of hard. They're
Yeah, I
going
would-
after a ball.
Yeah.
Could be wrestling.
But the
Yeah.
football
Yeah.
definitely we could remove and
Yeah,
replace
sure.
with something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you
But-
could reduce the quantity. I think
It
that
looks really nice.
perhaps the 3 on the glass makes sense.
But they're fantastic.
Honestly, it's supposed to be a recreation center, and it epitomizes, there is flag football in a program, and, I mean, basketball isn't taking place in that for all multi-purpose room either. I think it's just, it doesn't have to be literal. It's representative of recreation things.
Sure.
So, I mean,
We don't have martial arts, but
not now, but,
yeah.
I mean,
Right.
or maybe,
Yeah, it's
I don't see the one that would be of just somebody falling flat on their face. Where's that one?
I thought that was the volleyball one personally, but yeah.
Yeah, I would support whatever the silhouettes are, but I also saw it as just general representation of the spectrum of physical
Activity,
activity
yeah.
that could happen. It doesn't have to
Sure.
all be in the building.
yeah.
Sure. Great.
Good?
So do you need something?
Bench
on-
below. Can we talk about the bench?
Oh, yeah. So we're also showing in the upper image a series of benches that we're recommending be not attached to the wall, that you have the ability to move them, and with every aspect of this building to try to keep it as multifunctional as possible, so that when you have the potential to have an event in the lobby, rather, that you could do that. You could clear all the furniture out and set it up a certain way. So that's just something where we've been recommending all along, is that be left very flexible versus a built-in anchored to the wall type of a bench.
And then another idea came up in the what you call the vestibule, I believe, is where the brush carpet is.
Correct. Yes.
That there might be a few benches placed in there because that is where people are stopping and taking off their boots.
Yeah,
So-
and perhaps that might be where a child is waiting for a pickup from a parent,
Exactly.
standing out there. So that
The same type of bench could be
Mhm.
put
Right.
in those small. There's
Right.
one long space and two small
Right.
spaces.
And we had identified some with office environments in terms of style or whatnot that might make sense. It's like an
So-
ash.
More info coming.
Yes,
Okay.
they were about $700 a piece, I believe, for that. type.
Thank
So are
you.
we being asked to approve $14.50 for this?
Well, so, I mean, this
it's
is all,
already there.
just happened in the last couple of days,
Okay,
so.
okay.
So, the silhouette drawing that we showed in that lower image totals about $2,400.
Okay.
Okay, we've carried, just because we had the quote when I pulled this budget together, we had the $1,400 quote, which is what's carried in the total project budget. If you wanted to go to this type of a layout, then there's another $1,000 that comes out of the contingency.
Out of the owner's
Okay.
contingency.
Right,
To go up to 2450.
correct.
And as long as it came up, could I just bring up a thought? I guess I understand your reasoning in terms of keeping things as flexible as possible and being able to move things. But I would say too, having taken a tour of the building the other day when it seemed to be in full swing use, which was really great, and
Mhm.
everybody seemed to be having a great time. It's a beautiful building. Currently, right now, it seems like from Rush Shoals or something, there's some chairs that we're able to use that are kind of along that wall. And I would say that there were a lot of coats and things piled up there. It was definitely very messy looking in that sense. But I'm just thinking in terms of parents with young kids who bring them there. Sometimes it's nice to have a place to sit, but a place to have coats hanging a little separate. Or if you get someplace, myself as an old lady, if I'm trying to take off boots and put on boots and things like that, I like to have a seat and be able to do
Mhm.
that. And if the seating area is like piled high with coats and things, it's not very inviting to do that. So what I really felt was missing there was kind of a place to hang coats and still be able to sit and that. And what I saw in the locker rooms I thought was very good in terms of the way that works, and I could actually envision something very similar there, but it would be hooked to the walls.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is,
I think like lots of times people really do miss out the fact of like, a place to sit and, you know, and a place to put coats and things.
Mhm.
It's going to be a very, very busy building. We've had a lot
Right.
of that down here where everybody's boots and coats are just kind
right,
of
I think
everywhere,
maybe some
no
of that
place
might
to
just be a
sit.
learning process of letting the building, you know, let Terry and Dustin, you know, sort of see how the building's being used. I think that's just, you know, to kind of
Yeah.
I kind of hear that, but we may not know all those answers till really it goes through a little bit of a learning routine.
I think Ann's point, though, of a coat rack is a really good one,
Mhm.
honestly. And I was just at Echo yesterday,
Mhm.
and
Right.
they have some really good coat racks, just in the
Freestanding.
front.
Roll in and out.
They're freestanding, yeah,
Somewhere.
Yeah, freestanding
Somewhere.
for. I mean, it just makes sense.
yeah,
Just
Well,
so things
and
aren't
that- those
piled
they
up
can
where
roll
you
away
sit.
in the summertime.
right.
So that,
Again,
so
from
that
a
cleans up.
flexibility standpoint, I certainly would not advocate or support coat hooks, you know, in that zone where you've got accent lighting.
Yeah, no.
Perhaps to the left of the
Left.
other door, you could have, because that's where it sort of, the lobby gets more narrow naturally anyways, and you could have rolling where you could have access on both sides and so on to, you know, movable coat racks. You know, part of it is also to Nick's point, is operationally, and we've said this all along, that we, you know, really wanted to give you the opportunity to see how it is going to function before you commit dollars and bolt things permanently to a wall, for example.
Yeah.
One thing is curious, like when you have a tournament, Terry, how often might you use the team rooms? For those purposes of, because certainly, you know, in my experience in coaching a team of, you know, kids for basketball, say, typically they may leave boots and so on. Coats or bags that might have a phone or other things in it generally come with them into the gym because, you know, there's a lot of teams
Yeah.
coming and going, and it's just not, it's not secure.
Things are going to get taken.
Yeah, so if you were to use the team rooms for that purpose and lock them, you know, give the coach the fob, and they use the team rooms, that's one thing. So just, again, it's an operational, seeing how you're going to use things.
I just have two comments. I think if there were ever a time that we could experiment, opening in winter is is the time. And we have, last Friday, we had a basketball tournament, and literally, there were coats and shoes and scarves and hats from the vestibule all the way down the hallway, all the way down the lobby, and it was, it was unsightly.
Okay, well, I'm sitting there thinking about this thing here to move on. We have an owner's contingency, and how long do we carry that? After this project is done, do we carry it for X months?
Well, you do have a decision point coming up. We're having an alternate on the Creek Road project for paving.
Mhm.
So you'll want to firm up what, if any, of that contingency you want to use for paving. But that'll be a month or so down the road.
No, I mean,
You wanna preserve as
what
much
I'm
as
hearing
you
here
can.
is this sounds
Okay.
like this is a lot of just detail and operation that probably needs to be really thought of. The people who are using the building and come back to us with what would represent things to make the building work better for you. And that seems that.
Well, why don't we carry
Yeah.
like $5,000 for benches and coat racks for now?
I think
I
that makes a
think
lot of
that's- thank
sense.
you.
And then learn the building. Terry and Dustin, you can figure out what would help, and then we can pull it out of that.
We pretty much said what would help, but,
Okay. Well, then.
the second thing I wanted to respond to with Chris is the locker rooms are a completely different story. They are at the far end of the gymnasium, so it's not a place where people are going to put their purses and things like that. Those are for teams. So I see what you mean by it's another storage place, but we ask people not to wear their street
Sure,
shoes.
absolutely.
So they go down the end
Yep.
of the lobby and then into the locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not really common sense for someone to store their hats and coats, other than players.
Right, and I'm referring to the players.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
I would imagine that the spectators,
First thing they do is take their boots off
yeah,
before they put their
Absolutely.
tennis shoes on.
Yep.
So that happens in the vestibule and in the lobby.
right.
Well, I think, I like the idea of Kathleen suggested, maybe the whole 5,000 out in contingency. Terry, if you and Dustin could identify the things that specifically help you and get that off to Kathleen, and we can make a decision and move forward with that.
Do we need to make a decision, I would think, on the figures,
Yeah,
like if we're going to,
go with the,
to me, it like completes the building.
Yeah.
We need to do this. So I would say, I would like to move that we add an additional $1,000 and do the figures the way you have them. And just, let's be done with this.
There's an additional $1,000 for the lobby signage budget of $1,450 for a
Yeah.
total sum of $2,450.
Yeah.
So second by Victor.
Thank you very much.
Any all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And likewise, do we need to, with the, how, I don't.
Picture rail?
Yeah, how much
yeah,
is?
let's just, I was thinking that already. You know, we'll get a price on that and work it in. I can't imagine it's a lot of money. So we could perhaps look at, maybe we reduce the quantity of the figures by one and, see what we can do to,
Okay,
you know,
all right, let's
Thank you.
tighten it up and
Yep.
be done,
Yep.
if we can.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Anything else in the town office or recreation?
One thing,
Yes.
quickly. Chris and I had a tour last week, I guess it was, and the building's awesome. It's fantastic. The only concern I raised that you and I talked about, Chris, and one concern I have is when the folks that are using the team rooms are using the team rooms and then exiting out into the fields, I think it's the northwest exit has a lot of our plumbing and hot water supply equipment that's exposed, and I'm concerned without
Freezing?
that being, I'm concerned without it being caged in. It's an opportunity for simple vandalism that you
That's
just
the
reach
high
up,
school
grab a
storage.
valve,
Oh,
that kind of
great.
thing.
Where ours is caged in.
Yeah.
And what Dean and I talked about was that is the high school's storage, and I'm not certain how they intend to whether they're going to have any metal shelving or build shelving or what they intend to do, but there should be no one going from the team rooms going through that space. That space is going to be locked and controlled by
Oh,
the
that's
high
good.
school. Yeah.
Okay.
They will exit out the southerly door for the 4 team rooms, but they still may want to provide a fenced-in separation that allows perhaps parent coaches access from the exterior to get soccer balls or whatever without, getting at the other mechanical equipment.
I just worry because there is a door there that goes outside.
right.
It's right
Goes
next
to
to the
the
team
Little
rooms.
But you can't get to the Little League fields unless you go through the gym door. And then you go out then you can get to the Little League fields.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So they're gonna cross a portion of the gym floor.
Um,
Or we can
I-
lock them out, because
Yeah.
there's not an egress
Correct.
sign on there. It doesn't
Correct.
say exit.
Correct. You can
So it leaves them
control
with
that
one
Right.
egress door
To the
at
south.
the other end.
Yep.
But,
onto a
I
paved
didn't know.
walk,
Yeah.
onto a paved walk.
yep,
Would it make sense to, if this is the height or the UD3 bailiwick or whatever control, does it make sense to have a communication with them and point out these concerns?
Sure, and I think that,
and leave
right,
it.
there's definitely going to be, 6 months to a year of
Right, and
operational.
I only raise it because I just
it's a good
envision it
point.
as
Right.
an easy access to get out
It's a good
from the
point.
team rooms. And if they are start to use it like that, then you just grab something off the wall and,
And the reality is, people take the shortest route.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it, and if you're a coach, you're not going to send your kid down around the south to go around. You're going to go out that door. I would.
If
I
it's
mean,
locked, though, you
Yeah,
won't be,
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all.
but, I mean, let's,
UD3, I don't think well, whatever, it's
Yeah.
it's an
It's just-
operational.
I,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
let's
think when it
just,
comes down, I think your point is valid, and if you want, I can have the conversation with Bruce McIntyre on it, because he deals with this in other parts of his buildings. This is not unique, and he has ways of controlling. 'cause
it's
he
just,
knows
if
that-
it is going to get used like that, that we need to
I
consider
think
that.
that's an
Yeah.
incredibly valid,
Yeah.
good point to
Yeah.
bring up, and I think it's just a matter of, I'll have a conversation with Bruce and say, this is an issue we just need to keep control on, and Bruce is good.
Mhm.
He's very good, so, but thanks for bringing the point up.
That's all I had on.
One thing I want to say is that, and we can, whoever wants to can go visit the recreation facility afterwards, but it's come out fantastic. And-
Oh,
And one thing I really want to thank is I'm glad Terry's been here, because what you brought during this project is not just your recreational program aspect, but this knowledge of facilities.
thanks.
So having that combination has given us a building that I am extremely confident will work, and will work for a long time. So I'm just really glad you were here, because without that expertise, we may not have got it as well as we did. So thanks for everything, and to you and Dustin, it's been fantastic, and it is a wonderful structure, so.
Thanks a lot. We've had one basketball tournament, one senior activity, and both have come out with glowing remarks. So that's, I think,
so are you 100% there?
I'm 100% there. I've been there
Okay.
all week. It's kind of interesting to be in a building by yourself as it settles. There are noises like you cannot believe that make you jump and run and jump and run. And then, for whatever reason,
It's exercise.
it has been non-stop traffic. I mean, people see that a car is there. So I've had a man looking in my window right at me, and an elderly gentleman walking in the neighborhood. We looked at each other through the window because you can't see very well through the outside. And I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of just people coming in. So, customer service-wise, I really have to stop what I'm doing and say, do you want a tour, or can you give yourself a self-guided tour? And almost everybody wants a tour. So I'll be really happy when the open house takes place and everybody can see it, and maybe that will cut down on the traffic, because it's just been unbelievable how many folks are excited. And I just want to throw in that the gal across the street is Sunny Sears' daughter-in-law, and has, she came over the other day, introduced herself, gave her card, we exchanged card, and she said she keeps her eye on that building at all times, and she will continue to do so.
There
And
you go.
There have been three neighbors all the way down the road that have, stopped in, and Dustin and I have a plan of going door to door and introducing ourselves.
Perfect.
But we offered her a pass for Tot Time. She runs a daycare. So we exchanged a Tot Time pass. We said, you can bring your kids over here
Excellent.
anytime, no cost for Tot Time in exchange for you keeping your eye on this building. And so at some point we may want to think about giving her a key fob, but that took a huge load off my mind.
Wonderful.
Just to know, there's so many eyes and looking at us.
You get her
So-
signed up as a pickleball team?
There is a pickle.
No,
there's
you get the neighbors all signed up as a pickleball?
No, not yet. There will be a demonstration at the open house.
Well,
Bruce
that-
Byers will.
That's wonderful.
Bruce Byers bought 2 nets for pickleball, and he's gotten people together who will do a demonstration at the open house. So
You'll
It's a new hot sport.
it is a new hot
And
sport.
And March 2nd, 5 to 9 is your open house?
It is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well,
And there's
No, I had no
pickleball
idea.
courts at the college now, so it's huge.
again,
Oh,
thanks-
Lance will be so happy.
Thanks
Yeah.
for everything.
Right.
Yeah, they all are. Between Bristol and Middlebury, there's huge amount of pickleball going on, and we'll get in the fold as soon as we can.
Great. Okay, to keep things going forward, for this site, anything major report?
One thing, while we're on the buildings, do you want to talk about art for the town offices and perhaps the recreation center?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a later item, but we can talk about it now. It doesn't really hurt. There's no real sequence. Well, let's jump in real quick here. Before we do that, is there anything for this building, the new report?
This
You mean-
building?
Was it demolition?
4.3?
For the demolition? So briefly, I've been working with Otter Creek Engineering and the college on plans to demolish this building. Looking forward to mid-June for the demolition to start. You may have seen in your packet a proposal I just received from Otter Creek Engineering to do some Phase 2 environmental work on this site for $23,250, $750. We had a study done by DuBois and King. The college had a study done by DuBois and King, identified some environmental concerns, the likelihood of some contamination from an old fuel tank we had here, possible leakage from other gas stations in the area, and so the additional study is needed. I'll be bringing that proposal to the select board for approval at its next meeting to go forward. As you may remember, we contracted with Otter Creek Engineering to do the initial assessment of and prepare for the demolition. And these costs are being reimbursed by the college.
Okay, thanks.
So our plans to be out of this building and moved into the new offices end of March. When, do we have any kind of set date yet that we have to be out of here?
We're targeting April 1st because there is going to be
Or
some
we- yeah.
testing done, and they need full access, and it may not be safe for people to be in here
Okay.
once
But
that
I know
testing
originally
takes
there was
place.
some talk in terms of we're making the move, and as we settle in over there to really assess, are there things that we left here that we actually do need? So that's a pretty short window right there.
Is there a plan to deal with the leftover fuel oil in the underground storage?
Yeah, that, they're taking care of that. It is, but that's part of the civil engineering
Okay.
piece, yeah.
So this one, we want to make sure we're not getting a refill.
Right.
Is there a drop dead date you want me to give the few people that have come forward and said? can
April
we-
1st.
April 1st, great.
Okay.
That's the last, the gym will be closed as of April 1st.
That's right.
Great.
Well, the gym should actually be closed earlier. The gym, this gym?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of the elections, the town meeting will be February 29th, which is a Monday, and we probably need to start some setup because of earlier start and all that on Sunday. So I'm thinking February 28th.
She said March.
This is
Yeah,
April
March.
1st.
Oh,
April 1st.
this gym?
Yes, this is what Kathleen just told me.
Permanently closed.
April
Oh,
April
1st.
permanently closed,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Thought you were saying March 1st.
We'll have to make sure
That's-
Colby's moving ahead on
Colby's
warming up.
March 17th or something?
No, let's see, the dance studio moves over to our building. Their last dance class is the 4th, then there's the weekend, and then March 7th is Monday, and he plans to start his work, whatever that is, on March 7th.
Good. So progress is happening here, too. This is going to be a,
It's warming, there's a lot of
Site
moving
two.
pieces.
Okay.
all right,
But
so
Rush
then,
Shoals is over there, the gym.
there's no furniture left in Rush Shoals.
Okay, so the next one we have is review of fundraising efforts and recommendations.
Well, do you want to do the art?
No,
Because
why don't we
we've,
do that now?
That's, okay, let's do the art thing.
Next time, gotta go.
Brought up, so, okay,
well, let's do the, which one? Okay.
we'll do the art.
That answers the question.
So, okay, so that is the 5.2 item, art acquisition and display, and that's for this building specifically, or?
The town offices.
Yes, okay.
Right.
Can I make a recommendation, if I may? We had talked about this earlier, and I think there needs to be some kind of a committee that deals with this and makes selections. At one point, we talked about somebody from the college. I was thinking Kate Gridley might be a great person to also put together a team to head this up and get it off of our hands, assess what we have here, and I mean, I realize she's not here to say if she would do it or not. But anyway, but assess what we have, looking at the spaces and things like that, because I think it's really critically important. And as much as, I don't know, I just think it should be done in the right way.
I don't want to choose art or. be in
No, I
charge
mean,
of art
I
or
think,
building.
you know, somebody,
Yeah, it depends on if also committee would be talking about permanent pieces of art or things that are.
Yeah,
but I think just
temporarily-
leave it, have somebody else just deal with that whole piece, if I.
So you're thinking somebody from the
You
college arts
mentioned-
department?
Well, I was thinking, Richard Saunders in the College Art Department, they do a rotating things. There was discussion about involving some of the high school and maybe revolving stuff, but I think you need somebody that knows art that can put this together, and somebody like Kate Gridley, if she would be willing to do it. Now that we've said her name, that's probably unfair. So, and I haven't even thought about this other than just,
Well, someone like that, I think Richard would be also good for a number of reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's his specialty, really,
exactly,
is the art museum.
but to
And,
work together.
You know, one possibility would be even the college could loan some pieces. I think the two of those, and I wouldn't have a big committee, would be.
Oh, no.
I mean, maybe just ask the two of them to be
If they would be willing to do it.
to.
We've
It's the
also
middle
tried
of the
to,
movie.
we've reached out to Peter Bruca to try to
It's in the middle of the
give a
movie.
tour of the building and get his thoughts on it. And we just haven't been able to connect yet because of the school vacation, the college vacation, and then he's been busy this week with the Shakespeare thing and so forth. We're hoping next week, even this afternoon possibly, giving him a tour so he sees what we're looking at for areas that are available for artwork.
Right.
One of the things Kathleen and I talked about is why she has this up here is in keeping it with the idea of a rotating art display, is installing picture rails such as this. This is just a
Oh,
quick
yeah.
Google search in which you put a rail up close to the ceiling.
Right.
And where we're looking at, particularly when you go through the building after the meeting, you'll see that it's I don't have a second floor plan here, but is this, when you come up the stairs here, there's a two-story wall right there almost, and that goes all the way down to here. And that's one big, long wall with just a few doors in it. And so there's quite a lot of wall area there. And then also just around that second floor lobby. And then in the first floor, really the biggest wall areas that are available are here on either side of the double doors going into the small conference room, and a little, I don't know if you can see this little image here. And a little bit in the small conference room, there's some wall areas there. There's not a huge amount of wall left in
No.
the public areas, but the second floor really, you just see this really big, long blue wall.
Oh,
and
it'd be great.
Be great display area.
Oh, it's exciting to know what could be in there and rotating or permanent or whatever, but.
And this kind of a system, which is similar to what Chris was showing on the rec center, but, you know, like, what it would allow you to adjust the cables, say, different size art, and move it around.
Without having to cut into the wall each
Right,
time.
right.
Yeah.
It's the art gallery.
So can I make a move that we ask Richard Saunders and Kate Gridley to set up a committee and figure this out?
Well, who's the guy that you were talking about, John?
Peter Bruca is the head of the
Oh.
art department.
Who?
Oh,
Peter Bruca.
okay,
He was going to talk to Richard Saunders, actually.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Richard, I mean, you've got three of them, but I mean, Richard, I think, is a key person,
Yeah.
just because he runs the
Right.
art museum, and Peter's more of an architect. I mean, I think he, you know, he's okay, but and if you want to have three, fine, but I don't
Well, we weren't sure, we thought Peter was hierarchically higher than Richard. We're not sure.
No, Richard's.
What?
Richard's higher?
Oh, no, Richard runs the art museum,
Okay.
so,
What does
I mean,
Peter do?
and
He's the head of the
one
art
of the reasons
department.
why I think Richard would be good is because, as I say, the college has a lot of artwork and storage, and
Yeah.
they often do, they do in their, and why not? I mean,
Do you want to second me?
I think he's a-
Well, the only concern I have is that I'd really like to have somebody from the town work with them.
lives in Middlebury.
No, okay, but they're college employees only, so I'm just
Not
thinking.
Kate?
Kate is an artist.
Oh, you're gonna include Kate as well?
I suggested asking if Kate and Richard would form a committee to figure out how to do this.
If Kate isn't available, Cindy Hill is interested in our art and inventory, so that's just another name. I'm
Yeah.
offering.
And it may not be considered art, but if we are gonna have this expertise coming in, I would definitely love some advice on how to and where to display a framed piece that we have of the original charter. Right now, it's in the vault. I'm not quite sure about lighting for it or where it should go or what would hurt it and that, but it just seems like moving into a new building, it should be someplace where it's visible.
That's cool.
Is that the original or the
The
copy?
town charter?
It's kind of a long
Who knew we had
frame, and
that?
it's got the original charter showing on the front,
Yeah,
and
well,
there is
I
a
mean,
back
that's-
that's a photocopy.
Okay.
or
The town?
Kind of a copy of the back below it, but the front is the original piece.
So we have this motion out here,
I'll second it, yeah.
but I want to make sure we're all fully clear on what this is.
Well, I think that they should, if they would be willing to put together some suggestions on how this, is done or whatever, and then brought to the select board, would be the proper
Right.
channel, and then they would,
Excellent.
So
and
then the
then they-
motion is to have,
To ask them.
contact Richard Saunders and Kate Gridley
and if Kate can't, then Cindy Hill.
to form a committee for the display of artwork within the town office.
Art and acquisition too, if there is some.
Okay. Got that clear? And second?
Should we include in the motion that it would be, presume that it would be attached with some type of system like this? So they would know it could be flexible and
Well, I was wondering if we need to do that separately and have something in the contingency fund that would cover that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I just want them to think that, okay, if we're gonna put art in here, this is what's gonna be available to hang it from.
Yeah.
Might they not come up with a better idea or another?
I would
Right.
say we would just
Leave them-
let them start to form a
Yeah.
thought process together
Yeah.
and come to us as to how we can do it.
But well, okay,
But at
finish
least we get
that
the
and then we'll do
committee
the
going.
Right,
equation.
right.
So at this point, it's just forming a committee to
And then it would come to the select
then
board.
present
Yeah.
an approach. Okay, so second by Victor, any other?
No,
questions?
Ann, but that's
Oh,
okay.
Ann, okay. Second by Ann. All in favor of the motion, signify an aye.
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 Opposed? Great.
Can I just suggest that we leave something in the contingency fund as whatever the thing is, that
The rail.
the rail, however they want to do it? And do you have a suggestion on an amount?
We can pull up,
Get a quote.
get some pricing and, estimate the lengths and so forth, so,
So do you
want
want
to
to?
don't have
say
to-
$2,000?
sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so the motion is for, to hold out from contingency $2,000 for art display hardware, I guess it's probably, is to be determined, for not to exceed 2,000.
Second.
Well, I didn't, okay.
you can be first.
Did you finish? All right,
I'm
well,
done enough.
Nick, you
Yes.
have a person in the audience? who-
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi, so I'm not really sure the format of these meetings, I'm not trying to interrupt, but the reason I've come to this meeting is because I am interested in specifically the issue of art and the curatorial process
Hmm.
in the new town offices. So I am nowhere near qualified or have the same credentials as Kate Gridley or Richard Saunders, but I would like to be able to mention the fact that I'm present today, a
Mhm.
public citizen of Middlebury, and very interested in that process, and at the least being able to toss my name into the hat of being
Sure.
considered for that committee or whatever process comes forth of this.
What's your name?
Rocket,
Rocket.
no last name.
Good. Okay, so we have the motion, it's been seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Are we talking about the
Wait,
money?
Wait,
wait,
no,
I
just-
lost the motion,
Okay,
and
the
who made
motion,
and
the
seconded?
motion was.
$2,000.
Hold on,
$2,000
okay.
to be held out of contingency for art display hardware to be
Right.
determined.
Right.
And who made it and who seconded it?
Victor
Victor
and
made
Ann.
it,
Ann.
and
Okay.
Ann.
Gotcha.
Okay,
And we can pass on to Richard and Kate if they choose to do it, that there's
Yes.
been an offer for somebody.
yes,
Yeah, and we'll
yes.
get.
Good.
Rocket's information.
Anything else on art acquisition and display?
And that Rocket should maybe leave contact information with somebody who's.
I have it.
That's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
Please. Excellent.
I should say also that, I mean, if we form a committee, if a committee is formed, that the meetings that they have will be public.
Yes,
And
Oh.
not, in other words, it's not a
Right.
matter,
Right.
yes,
Oh, good point.
so you can,
yes. Okay. So then, the other one we look at is fundraising efforts. You'll recall what this came about is that we had requests early on to, you know, from various organizations to contribute to some details of the town office and the recreation facility, and so we put together a group to look at what items could come along and to help channel this along. And it's been working well. There was one concern raised, and there was some confusion. But either way, I think it's best we just kind of go over where we are, what we have, who's offering to contribute what, and then what's outstanding for, and we could come up with a method that it could be posted, so if any organization or individual wants to contribute, they can come to the list and make their offer. So I guess, what have we had donations for?
Okay. As you know, the Rotary came forth with an offer of $10,000 to do the small conference room upgrades, which was terrific, and that prompted this whole thing. Since then, the Legion has also put forth $10,000, which will cover the 2 scoreboards in the recreation.
Okay.
And we went to the Downtown Improvement District Committee, and they agreed to put $15,000 toward the landscaping, which was fantastic. And then started, it's with all these kinds of things, you have to find certain things first and have, it's like a standard rule in fundraising. You have to get probably 50 to 75% secured before you can go out publicly and get money. That's just how it's done, and this town has certainly benefited by a lot of generosity by a lot of people, a lot of organizations for years doing this. So Brian Carpenter offered to help secure money for the benches. We came up with $3,000 for a bench. John was going to relook at the configuration of the benches out front and whatever. We went to individuals. We have 7 benches now confirmed. We have an idea, which I don't want to say because the people have not been approached and it would be a very awkward thing. But we have an idea about 2 other benches that possibly could work opposite the Ilse Library. And we have the gable the decorative screen in the gable was generously donated by 2 individuals. So for that was covered. We don't have anything right now for the flagpole and the light. And I was going to suggest that if that does not come out of the contingency fund, if you wanted to do a public whatever, have at it. That would be fine. That would be a great place, raise the flag or buy a star, or I don't know what you do. But anyway, and then at the recreation facility, we had a generous offer from Lance to make some picnic tables, and he is not here, so, but I reminded him a couple of times. And there is opportunity for landscaping trees and landscaping, I think once the dust settles, and also once the road is, or the driveway is paved and all that, there will be opportunities for that sort of thing. So that's where and with the bike racks, we really wanted to see, we were going to move, and we were going to see what we needed and how it all looked and all that at that point. So that's where we are with the fundraising piece, and I was unsure on the bench, the number of benches.
So we've behind Laura is, you can see in red. Sorry, Laura, I put you on the spot. This is actually an old diagram we did before. We just one thing is we showed 6 before. We can actually fit 7. It's a field measure. We can fit 1 over here, and we fit 2 to 3 over here each, assuming they're 7 feet long. And again, they look something like this. This was the proposal was this sort of a rough face and then a smooth top. And the gravel has already been set in these locations for setting the stones on. And I assume that this would be something that we try to coordinate with the landscape installation so they could all be done at the same time
That'd be great.
in the next 6 weeks or
Right.
so.
I think 6 in front is good. I don't think we need 7. I think 6 in front, and then the one on the corner between the Ilsley and the office building toward Main Street, and then the one opposite the area opposite the Ilsley is something, we can
Flexible.
we can work in and see how it goes. But by and large, other than one concern, the benches, everybody was very enthusiastic, and I think do I have it? I did a mock-up, or sent each of them. It's darn, I don't have it. It's just like this bench is generously donated by their name and how they have it. And so what we do need to do is finalize those markers, or whatever you call it, signs that go on it, and then the markings that go, or the signage that goes inside the lobby as well.
I did get a quote on misplaced here on the if we did a brass plaque, cast plaque, or a cast aluminum plaque that can come in any color. It's about $150 a piece. And this is from Vermont Trophy and Engraving. They're going to get back to me with a quote for an acrylic sign that's back etched which could be mounted on the wood paneling someplace in the lobby, which is for all of the donors and so forth. I'd hope to have that for this meeting, but they didn't get it. They haven't gotten it to me yet. On the other hand, is at the low end, we could go to. They said they can do plastic plaques, which would be about $25 a piece, which are, they said, look actually much better than you think. So,
well, we included the cost of signage in the bench,
right.
And I think it behooves us to have something that is going
Permanent.
to hold up, permanent, and hold up to the weather,
right.
and looks nice.
Yeah.
It's simple.
And that's, there's, depending exactly on the details, there's a certain some allowance of characters on it. So, but I think what you said, keeping it simple, seems a simple, consistent message seems the best. Just changing the name.
So, yeah, I think we need to revisit how we're going to proceed on this, because one of the reasons this came up for today's meeting was, and Nancy alluded to this, is that Paul Ralston came to our last select board meeting and citizens' concerns, and his concern essentially was that he felt he was being coerced to buy something for the town, and he felt that his business's taxes paid sufficient monies, and that we shouldn't be looking for donations to pay for things that the town needed for this project. And we referred it back to this committee, essentially because this committee took the initiative when the Rotary initiated coming to us to ask about how they could participate in doing some enhancements to the project. And as everybody knows, the committee developed the list, which Nancy has talked about, and then it's a matter of how do we go forward without, people feeling pressured to have to do this. I mean, that's certainly not our intent. I'm sure it's not Nancy's intent either, but we want to make it clear that if people want to make donations, that's great. We'd love to have it, but we need to specifically say what these things have to be. We don't want people choosing to donate things that we probably couldn't use, and that's why we have this list of options available. So it comes back to how do we go about initiating these contacts? Do we actively look for these kinds of things? Do we have the list available? What should be the best process for this?
May I just take umbrage with the word coerced?
Yeah, no, that's his words.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, I would never have brought that up, but it would, these conversations have been very short, very pleasant, and very well received, and I understand if, there's times when we're asked, as me being personally, or Chip and I, and we choose not to give something, and that's totally fine. We have complete respect on that, but I don't want these very generous donors to feel in any way that they're not appreciated or they're looked at askance, because they are being generous for this whole community. And I look at things like the Marble Works Park. It was done the same way. I look at building the football stadium review thing, and that was done, by a few individuals, and they went to people, and it's not an elite kind of thing at all. It is truly wanting to give back to the community, and so I think these people have been fantastic, and I totally understand if somebody wasn't want to give. It was truly a 3-minute conversation at the most, and most of it was about his radio show. So I never would have brought it up publicly if he had not.
So 2 things. First, is there a lot of solicitation left to do?
No.
And secondly, picking up on Nancy's suggestion about the flagpole and the light, is that something where we could put that out, that people could contribute to that as a community to get us that amenity?
Yeah, I wasn't at the select board meeting, but just kind of reading minutes and that, I kind of had the impression that also what he was saying is that there were some people who wanted to give smaller amounts. And
that's great.
That it felt like, no, you either have to give like this amount for a bench or nothing. So I can understand that. And I think, I kind of understand too, people have given to government and government projects and forever, and it's really important, and anybody would be willing to kind of pull out their wallet for the library or the fire department, things like that. But we've always kind of known that if you're talking about building town offices, then people kind of back off. So I'm actually quite excited that there are things that people can give to, and they have the opportunity to do that. And these are things that just make the project a little bit better, a little bit nicer, and for the community. But I agree with you.
And
I
that's
can't
the
afford
goal.
to give that amount for a bench or whatever, and I'm not going to give it and have my name on
Well,
the bench.
and just as an aside, too, one of the benches is given by 2 things. They said, can we do that?
together.
And I said, absolutely, you can, sure, that's wonderful to be able to do that. I don't know, I think the idea of raising the flag or doing that publicly is terrific, especially because we have the conduit in. We knew that was the important part. And we knew that we want the outside or the exterior of the building finished off so it looks nice. We have that taken care of. Now we can kind of relax, because that's all got to be done at the same time. Now we can kind of relax, and I don't know the best process, and I don't want to necessarily be the one to do it. I'm telling you that right now. In fact, I'm not going to be the one to do it. But I don't know if they, you want to do a public appeal, you have something at voting, I don't know, people put in whatever people want to do, however, whatever somebody wants to figure out how to do it I think that would be
I
great.
do too, yeah.
Well, I think first of all, I mean, I think you've been incredibly successful, and I think we all appreciate the generosity of all those who have come forward. These are some major things. So what's really outstanding is this flagpole.
Yeah.
That's probably the main thing. The additional benches are kind of nice if they happen, but not critical at this time,
Right.
per se. And then, that's really the big issue.
I looked on the list, like, was there any money given for like bike rack type things? Or no?
The bike racks,
I didn't see anything.
Laura, we had talked.
We talked about moving the existing racks to the new rec center and also the town office, at least one set. to
And there's a
each
pad
building.
for the bike rack at
And
the
can
town
you show
office.
where that goes?
Yeah. It's right.
Yeah, 'cause I was thinking of something about it being covered.
Yeah, we hadn't figured that out.
And John, didn't we talk about one possible with a roof over it in back?
Well,
Yeah.
there is a possibility of putting in one here. There's that's probably the best location, I think, if you're particularly with a roof, because it's a blank wall, there's no windows there. The roof, anywhere else, it's going to be in front of a window. It's blocking the window. But and there's also all that lovely mechanical equipment right there. That would be nice to hide.
Cover.
And it could actually help with the library too, right? I mean, it's sort of,
Exactly.
it's
There
close,
is-
so it would be,
Yeah, there is a rack right there opposite to the library. A rack here would be, beneficial to the library and the town offices. This rack, thinking was that, the discussion at the time was that people coming in from Cornwall or whatever that aren't familiar here would see that rack and put their bike there.
Let's come back to bike rack in a second here. Wait, let's come back to bike rack in a second. What I'd like to do is, let's look at the things that are outstanding. It's this flagpole is probably the big thing. Do we have any other prospective donors who have come? If you will? So really what's outstanding is a means to set up a way for the public in general to donate for the flagpole.
Could we do like a list of some sort and then have estimated costs for the project? This is what's been donated so far. This is what's left on the list, so anybody that wants to come forward can pitch in for a part of it or whatever they
I think
choose
that
to
makes a lot
do.
of sense. So then just how do we get the word out on the list?
I actually think it's better to say, we're trying to raise money for the flagpole and just,
But we still have some benches too, right, in the bike racks.
and the bike rack. Yeah, maybe
I'm wondering with the bike rack, I mean, it seems to me that that's something that really should be there, in other words, and.
Oh, it will be there.
There'll be a bike
We're
rack.
talking about the
Roof.
cover, like,
Okay.
The roof on it.
There's
but-
two
yeah,
currently
yeah,
on
but-
site.
But I mean, I think that really is sort of an essential part of it, and I would hope that, I mean, the flagpole and the benches, people come forward and contribute money to it, whether the whole amount or part of it, that's fine. I think that as far as the bike rack and the covering for it, that's something that if we don't have money for it, that we really should use our contingency funds for. I mean, I think
agree.
that's but nonetheless, I think just put these out as things that it would be, that we have these outstanding, this is the cost of it. The town would, appreciate contributions. I think that's, that would be the.
I think it makes perfect good sense. So then my only question is, what's the medium for getting it out there? And does anybody have suggestions as to how we do that? I think we've got a list.
What if we did a press release from the committee at some point, just
Fine.
as we close the books, here are some of the things that
Yeah.
are left.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Then the point person would be Kathleen for receiving?
well, there'd have to be town office torf project or something like that.
Right.
There's already an account set up, Jackie has, so, am I
Okay.
right there?
Good.
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay, so then what I'm hearing is we put out a press release, and it could also be on the town website, a list of items remaining that, to complete the building, requesting, basically, should we mention what has been donated to so far in that?
Oh, wait, the other thing is that, like, trees or whatever at the rec center.
So, I thought we did, I'm skipping the recreation facility, I thought we decided the AV system, sound system was not something we wanted.
It's not some-
I would highly recommend you to install it if you're able to. Just based
yeah.
on my experience.
In our committee not to do it.
We did.
Yeah.
Because we have a really good portable system. Anyway, so I don't think that's something that we're looking for from the public. The 2 scoreboards are secured. The landscaping trees, Chris and I have walked around and looked at what's viable and what's not viable to move from this site over to the rec park. And we have the ad hoc tree committee plus the, we just had the Hannaford Center Diversified Occupation folks put the bleachers together, and they're very interested in helping us move those trees, at least dig them up. So picnic tables were Lance, and then the bike rack, we were willing to have one from this site. We have a covered entryway, it could go there. So that's our need. We're more repurposing, I think, than
Mary, do
looking
you think
for.
one
for
bike rack would be enough over there?
Mhm.
You think so?
Well, to start out
I'm
with.
hoping not.
Yeah, I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
That's so
If
far.
you build it, they will come.
Well,
Maybe,
you know, I mean,
because we're closer to schools.
I'd rather see a nice looking bike rack at
Sure.
the municipal building and take these ones here over to there.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
Yeah.
what I'm hearing, and I'd ask you, Nancy, if you would be willing, you and Kathleen, put a list together, that could be the public
But we do need soil
information.
at the rec
that
facility.
we can put out a press release based on that. Obviously, if you need to contact anybody else for additional assistance in the group, do that, but this way we'll get that out as the official press release on what's remaining, and see how the response is.
Do we want to have anything at town meeting, like just something people could just pick up, a slip that says, I'm willing, to donate such and such, and, that's not a lot of paper.
No,
That-
there's gonna be a lot of people.
Well,
There's a lot going on.
Fine, but it's an opportunity that everybody will have to see it. If they want to contribute, then it's an easy way to.
And we may reach people there that we generally don't reach.
Exactly.
Through the email or through the newspaper.
Right. I mean, I think people look forward to doing things like that
Yeah, 'cause you
at
know
town
when this is
meeting.
all said and done, people are gonna say, oh, I wish I'd known.
Exactly.
We could-
So, in the other business at town meeting, Nick is going to do an update on the project. It'd be an opportunity to say, in addition to that, here's where we are in terms of things that people have offered to donate, and the committee's list of things yet to be fulfilled.
And Nick can do that.
Yep.
Perfect.
As far as a press release or any of the, I think, I heard you just say, we're looking for donations to finish the building.
That's
And,
it.
and I
That's
would,
not correct,
I would
yeah.
prefer, if
Yeah,
it
yeah.
said
Oh, I'm not
for
saying
the
that.
project.
For the project,
Yeah.
that's
Something like
true,
that,
yeah.
because,
Amenities.
I mean, in terms of Paul Ralston's comments as well, I
Yeah.
do think that
Yeah.
that the town is putting up a building and we're doing that, but the overall
Absolutely.
project and these
That's true.
additions that make it better.
Right.
Well, I think the whole genesis of it is important, too, that it started with a civic organization coming to us and
Yes.
offering to spend money.
Being
and
approached.
Here's an opportunity to do
Exactly.
things that we wouldn't include in the budget
Right.
and aren't
People
necessary
want-
for the functions of the two buildings,
Right.
but
So to me,
are
two
nice
different
enhancements,
things.
yeah.
Why
What do
don't-
we-
If I could say about the benches, just to keep in
Yeah.
mind, if we could if it's feasible to coordinate the installation with landscaping, it seems like an ideal
Exactly.
situation. In terms of using a landscape contractor to set them and so forth.
Okay.
So
Well-
the benches are secured.
We've got 7 secured, so that's your department, isn't it?
Okay.
I mean,
Done.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so I think we have
Gary.
addressed, yeah, Gary, you got a question back there?
Has anybody thought about asking the college, saying, we're 20,000 short on having an A1 job here? How about, I thought they were gonna
The
make
co-
this okay.
the college gave over $250,000 extra to
Well,
do the,
But they said they wanted it to be right.
I think it is right.
But I think they were talking as well about the whole net zero energy efficiency when they came forward and said.
Okay, I'm not arguing for it, I was just wondering if anybody asked them. You know, we're out asking people that pay taxes and everything. Here we got a big organization that doesn't pay a huge amount of taxes.
I think we'll just
They've
let,
been
I think the
generous.
idea of this press release and let people of the town, if they wish to contribute, do so.
I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of letters back, both ways.
Yeah.
And-
Well, it has to be carefully worded. I mean, we're not pressuring people to do this.
How
If
many
they
millions did
voluntarily
the
wanna
college
do it.
put forth for this
Yeah,
project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we should be saying that they don't pay a large amount of tax.
Five
They
and a half
they do
million?
pay a large
Almost
amount of
6,
tax.
I know
Plus
that, but
gifts.
relative to what they have
I
up
can't
there.
imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to keep
Right.
putting it out that they don't pay any tax, because that's
I don't
really not
want this to
true.
be in a press release.
I think we have an approach to this thing, and, so,
Well, I think we want to give the opportunity to the people of the town.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, you know, Nancy has done an outstanding job, they've got some wonderful contributions, and your point is exactly right. There may be people out there say, I wish I had known.
Yeah, you know that's all.
And so let's get a press release out so we reach
Yeah.
people in general, and
Right.
it's their
And in
discretion.
difference to Gary's suggestion too, at the next town college get-together, part of the agenda can just include, here are some of the things that we're looking for enhancements. If folks want to volunteer to make contributions, they can, and the college can choose to respond to that if they want to.
Yes, very good. So, Nancy and Kathleen will put this press release together, and then we'll have it for town meeting. I will also give a presentation on for town meeting, and then we will get it on out and see what happens.
And I think we started from the very beginning. I think we said that we would secure certain things and then have it open to everybody. I mean, not open to everybody, but I mean, get that out there. But I mean, that was way back when we were talking about it as a committee and stuff.
Yes.
So
Right.
this is just following through
Right.
a natural progression.
Right.
Okay.
It's just important to respond to the comments made that that's not exactly accurate as to how we're going forward with this, that people are not being coerced into doing things.
No,
Not at all.
they are not.
No,
That was
No.
unfortunate, yeah.
It's a misunderstanding, and it happens, but we're going to resolve it, address it. Okay, next thing is, we have plans for opening March 2nd. Is that the town recreation?
It is, from 5 till 9.
5 till 9, we're
Mhm.
going to have an opening.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Tours, demonstrations, tables for instructors, lots of things going on, and some food provided.
Wonderful.
I did want to just say, I just wanted to update for this last topic that we were on, that the American Legion is looking at moving this flagpole over
Oh,
to
yeah.
recreation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's correct.
Yes.
They're
Thank
really
you.
working hard on,
Oh, that's
Wonderful.
great.
with JP Carrera or the Carrera Company, whoever they are. I've not met them, so, but that,
Excellent.
they're moving that flagpole, or trying to. The only thing we're lacking is, we had the donation from Bruce Byers of the 2 pickleball nets. I think that's important to note, that was a big, that was a
That is.
fairly good donation for us. And then thirdly, the only item that we would actually have to, which I think I've secured, is dirt, because there's about that much dirt, and as Chris said, it's been run over. And so I think we are going to need soil to put the trees that come from this site in over at Rec Park. And I think Nancy Foster, and that whole Foster group is going to donate that soil.
Wonderful.
So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
That is
so
really
I just had a
fantastic.
conversation with her about it. So
Fantastic.
I just wanted to make sure that got in the notes.
Good, thank you.
Awesome.
5 to 9 p.m. on,
March 2nd.
March
So
2nd.
it goes town meeting, voting, open house.
March 2nd.
Isn't March
No, March 2nd is the Wednesday.
March 1st is
voting?
Australian ballot.
Yeah.
and
Information
March
meeting's the
2nd is the
29th.
open house.
Right.
February 29th.
Oh, you're not, I thought it was all the same day you were saying.
No, 3 days in a row.
Okay,
I'm just prepping everybody. 3 days in a row, there are things happening.
very good.
Week-long festival.
Okay, what about this, what our town office building?
Town offices, April 29th, 3 to 5.
Ooh, fun.
what day of the week is that?
Friday.
Friday.
Give me the times again, please?
3 to 5.
Thank you.
So we're gonna have the official ribbon cutting, is that the 3 to 5?
Do that?
Town gathering, it's gonna be wonderful.
Would one of the select board members like to kick off the open house at the rec facility? Ribbon cutting,
Ribbon
saying
cutting?
something,
Oh, we could probably find something.
okay.
And a big ribbon.
Otherwise, yeah, I suspect there will be close to 100, if not more, attending that open house.
We can talk about the details of that here next week or so.
You could have a whole bunch of scissors.
Excellent. As well as from the college, who's been very generous.
Yeah. Maybe ask Lori to come.
Ooh, good
I
idea.
have her card.
Good,
I see
yeah.
her at Rotary.
Why don't
Yeah,
you
and would
start off
somebody
with-
from the high school like to be there maybe?
Should be.
I mean,
Yeah,
locker
we
rooms are there.
discussed that with Peter, yeah.
Sure, we can work that detail. Good.
So I'll talk to Lori.
Okay,
Just
so
talk to
then-
Pete Burrows.
Is there anything upcoming that we need to address?
Getting back to the Victor's point with the bike racks, do we want to make sure that we have that covered, or, I mean, I think it is, or how do we do that? I
Maybe we
mean,
have to get a cost estimate for what this cover might be, and I'm not really sure how to approach that, but I'll try. And then we will know like what targeted amount we should be reserving for that.
yeah, I mean, we had trouble trying to find one before. I think that's why, part of the reason is it's been so loosey-goosey, is that we couldn't,
Somebody found, Chris found one, didn't you?
No, somebody else.
Somebody
I
found
think
one.
Kathleen did,
must have-
but we
Kathleen
never
did.
got we didn't get a price on it,
You
or
have like
was
a
it
catalog
crazy?
that
I did have a
specializes in-
catalog, and there was a covered bike rack for, on the order of $5,000, but there was also a thought that we have some very talented local artists
That was it.
that could also meet that need for that type of money.
Okay.
And maybe have something that fits better with the buildings, similar
Rather
materials.
than just some factory.
Yeah.
So maybe,
5,000 for both, maybe?
Plus a pad for both. You need,
the pad isn't in, there aren't pads already?
well, the pad that we've built here would be right in front of a window.
Oh, that's good.
So that's why we thought a low one
I
is
see.
fine.
Yeah, a pad for the uncovered.
I missed that.
So there's no gravel, no infrastructure for a pad on the south side?
There is, this one has, this pad exists.
Okay,
This has
that's
been
it, all
poured.
right.
It's just that if you put a roof structure there,
Oh,
you're putting it
right,
right in
right.
front of
Oh,
a
yeah,
window.
yeah.
the prominent window.
Got it.
And we don't want to do a pad until we know the size of the bike rack,
Right,
so
right.
that
Yeah.
doesn't make
Where we're looking
sense.
at that location there, there's nothing there now.
Meaning, there's just gravel there, or there's
Yeah.
nothing,
Well,
or
there's-
there's rain?
There's not,
That's
well,
what
and,
I'm
to
saying.
complicate things, is that there will be a sidewalk poured at some point. It's not poured yet, in the spring. So if we're gonna put a pad, it would be nice to coordinate it with the pouring of the sidewalk. So,
Okay.
So we're not looking to cover the bike rack on
on this one.
on that side.
No, we're also talking about making it deep enough for a cargo bike, so is that wide enough if people park like out? Is it gonna bump onto the sidewalk then? With the mechanical
Have to-
parks there?
Angle Park.
Okay.
What'd you say, Lori, a cargo bike?
Well, I think you should plan for enough
Fine.
depth for a
What's a-
cargo bike.
What's
Yeah,
a
what
cargo
is-
bike?
A cargo bike is a longer bike that allows you to carry cargo.
Huh.
So,
You might need a parking place
I
for
was gonna
that.
say,
Yeah, right.
There's a regular
I
parking
mean, like a
place.
rickshaw kind of thing?
So it's like a,
Three-wheeler?
like a
Tow behind.
Trailer?
What's this?
oh, okay, so,
could be a
Bike.
trailer or it
Right.
could just be a.
Yeah, no, I think that's a bigger discussion. So,
I hadn't seen them.
okay.
I don't think I've seen them.
Well, you will see them the next day on April 30th, because we're planning an electric vehicle demo event that'll have electric cars and bikes, which will include some of these cargo bikes, so you can get a better sense of what we're talking about by a next generation of vehicles that will have to think about parking.
That's a bigger topic of discussion here in the future. So if we can move on, upcoming action items, anything immediate or coming that we need to address in the near future? I think we've covered everything fairly well. Okay, committee member comments. Laura?
Well, I just passed out a town meeting poll. This is just a concept that we're trying this year to help people understand the various ways that we communicate with them and the various ways in which they can access information of us without getting in a car necessarily, which is through a lot of our websites. So, so it's an attempt to do that. So we're just asking people if they're aware of the town email lists as a vehicle for being informed of upcoming events like these openings that we've just been talking about. So it's an opportunity to communicate to people that we have these events and devices for communicating with them, and they're invited to get on lists if they aren't already, or to check out a website for various things. Like, that's the purpose of this tool. And then on the back, you'll see there are just a few questions that we can ask to gauge interest or preferences again. So that's what this is. I just wanted you to be aware of it and to know that it's part of what we're using to communicate the town offices and rec center open houses.
Cool.
Very good. Okay, anything else related to building?
I wanted you to know that the Energy Committee met and looked at the solar standards that came from the Planning Commission, and that one thing that we noted is that we support buildings, new buildings, such as the ones we've just constructed, as being solar ready. And by that, we mean that the roof load can carry solar and the wiring is in place so that eventually, you know, we can add solar if at some point we want to ever do that. So we're just, again, just celebrating that we have created buildings, new buildings that do this, and that any future buildings would be compliant that way.
Good. Thank you. Okay, Terry?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ann.
I'm good.
Nancy?
I'm good.
Okay, Beth?
Good.
Kathleen?
Just to note that letters of interest are starting to come in for items that we may be leaving behind in this building. We have a letter here from the town of Brandon Recreation Department asking for our backboards. So,
Our backboards? What's that?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Oh,
Basketball hoops.
How do we, any thoughts on how do we deal with that? I mean,
I've had some people asking about my furniture in my office too, so.
To burn
Chair.
it.
I don't know.
Using that chair?
Are you gonna sign it?
Well,
I did just
any
ask
of those
what's left
panels
over.
and, yeah, desktop.
well,
Should
that's
we
an
have-
issue I don't think we thought about personally is how do we want to address this?
Do we have a sense of any value attributed to them, or are they just looking for a donation?
They're looking for a donation.
So they would come and get it?
And I think that everyone working in our building would have to be insured
Yeah.
for taking down the backboards and such. So that definitely needs some thought.
Hmm.
And it couldn't hold up.
And
the
if more than one
demolition of
person is asking for, like, I would say a few people have already come by my office and said, what are you doing with that? What are you doing with that? So, like, if it's more, we need a way to decide
Who gets what, yeah.
who gets what.
We have a pommel horse that is not going with us. So we can kind of market that.
I just wondered, do we have a list of what's being left? Do we want to, is it worth
That's a big task.
trying
Yeah.
to sell or
Yeah.
just
And
get
We
rid of
don't
it?
have a lot of time
In,
either.
in,
Yeah.
in my recent memory, I had a lot of people saying about the Lazarus building, well, we want this, we want that.
Right.
I was there for several hours, a couple of days, and nobody
showed
showed
up.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of.
That's our
work.
experience as well,
Yeah.
Kathleen, that, you know, and it's all good intention, but then when they go to have the people there that actually have to dismantle the backboards, and it, you know, ends up perhaps not being worth it, but.
Do we have to pay to get rid of this stuff?
It'll be part of the
It would be
demolition.
part of the
Part of the
demolition.
demo? I mean, is it possible that once everybody's moved out, that there's like one day that people can come and take things?
Pretty much have to be one day.
But then everybody
Yeah,
has
first
to-
we have to be out of here.
Like you said, they
So
would
we
have
call
to
it
be
the college?
secured to be able to do that. I mean,
I'm sitting there
somebody
thinking,
getting on a
this
step ladder and
basketball in
falling
the back
over.
Stops, I mean, it makes sense that we don't.
No, I don't mean that. I mean stuff like this. I mean,
And shares.
And chairs.
Yeah.
chairs.
Are they all
Horses.
governmental?
So like,
Pommel
are you
horses.
thinking about like a tag sale?
Are they all public entities that are
But
coming
what if
forward?
you just hired
No.
an auctioneer like a Tom Broughton and say,
Yeah.
come in and do it? He gets a cut of what he makes and the town gets the rest.
You
and
know,
you
I
put it to-
like that
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Well, there's a lot of furniture. I don't know.
I mean, there's,
That would
Think
probably
the
be
old
the fairest,
Sarah's-
that would probably be
I
the
don't know.
fairest way to do it.
Yeah.
That'd be the
Yes.
fairest.
Yeah, and the easiest. So it could all just be stockpiled in
But
the gym or something.
Should we just tell the town of Brandon if they want to work towards getting that out of here?
Yeah, they've come forward with that that sounds like a reasonable donation to them if
And
they
I
have.
think the town of Lincoln is also doing a municipal building project, and they have some interest in.
They have some interest in my furniture.
But why not? For
Why
the
is your
taxpayers.
furniture so important in their hands?
I don't know.
So, well, I mean,
It is everywhere.
It's probably
She
some
has
of the
the
newer
best.
furniture. It
She
has
has
the panels that
You're
can be, it can be revamped. It's desktops, there's file cabinets.
If you had a public auction that somebody like Broughton manages, they do everything.
Yeah,
Yes,
let- just,
absolutely.
And
I
you'd
think
be
that-
surprised at what people pay for some of that stuff.
and I think,
Yes.
and taxpayers would be very happy if they
Yeah.
could get a little bit something back. Why not?
Is there
We
any
paid for
chance
it.
of getting beyond that April 1st? I mean, if we're not out of here
Right.
till March 26th or 27th,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not leaving
Right,
a lot of
right.
time.
But if Tom Broughton came in with his crew, he would say, I'm taking this, I'm taking this,
Well, should
I'm
we
not taking that. I'm
check
So
not-"
and
you're
double- should we
saying
double
take
check
it
and
right out
see if
of here,
He's
then,
willing to do it.
not run it here.
Well, do you have a block of time? April 1 is when everybody's out of here, but they're not doing the demolition until June, right?
Well, yeah, but they're starting the
But if we have to be out by
abatement, and we have to
April
be outta here.
1st.
Why don't you talk to Tom Broughton
Yeah.
and find out
Yeah.
what he suggests?
You might have a few days in there where you could do that and just get it out of the
If he
way.
comes back and says, I want April 1st and 2nd to do that, that's not a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Oh, we really should
gymnastics
take that.
equipment
Good
that
point.
we don't know what to do with. I mean, not just a pommel horse, but
Hmm.
parallel bars and things that.
They're not gonna move to the new facility?
No, she's got two sets of things, and she's picked what she wants to move to the new
Well,
facility.
a lot of
It's
that
already
stuff
over
was
there.
secondhand to us, so it isn't worth much anyway.
Right.
So our recommendation is for Kathleen to contact Tom Broughton and
Perfect.
come up with a proposal. Excellent suggestion. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It
Yeah.
crossed our radar screen. It's certainly not mine. Anything else? Chris?
All set.
All set?
Okay, well, nothing really more to contribute other than we are getting close to the end of our role as a building committee, and I just want to say that it's been phenomenal working with all of you. We'll have probably a little bit more here toward the end, but this has been a great group to be a part of. Everybody's contributed incredibly well, and I'm really pleased with the broad array of talents, the expertise everybody's brought forward to what has turned out to be a outstandingly successful project. And this is something that we can be proud of, and knowing that it's the great thing for now and for future generations. And I think people will look back in 100 years at this town office and recreation facility and say they really got it right. So
No, they're gonna say, why didn't they do this?
they're going to say they got it right. So thanks for everything. And
Do we need another date?
well, let's hold that open to see if we need another time to get together. We'll probably have a closeout meeting, but we'll save that.
Well, we have contingency stuff.
And we have some contingency stuff. But other than that, if anybody wants to go over and take a look at the town office building, you're welcome to. We can go do a little tour. I mean, you're welcome to go down, and I'm sure Terry'd be proud to show off her building.
Yeah, structural, I mean, that's
So-
not the.
Thanks, guys.
It's a bricks.
I'm gonna hold on that.